Hey guys, this is Cypherbyte, and today we're going to be talking about 10 tips on flying safe in EVE Online. So before we get into the video, I do have a referral link in the description. You can click on that link and collect 1 million free skill points. Even if you aren't a new player, you can still use that link as long as you haven't done it before. And if you do click on that link, I get a kickback as well. So it's a win-win. Anyway, this probably is geared towards more newer players, but you never know. Maybe one of the old players will learn something today. With the first one, we have planning your route, okay? So it's always a good idea to plan your route in EVE before you take off and just fly off into space, especially if you have a specific activity you're going to do. So I'm going to go exploring. Well, I want to go into low sec. So I have a destination set, and that destination is Darren. Okay, I like this area because it's not very populated. Now, who knows, if this video gets enough views, maybe it will become very populated. I guess we'll see. But yeah, it's a good low sec area that's quiet and has a decent amount of sites, at least historically when I've been there before. And yeah. So I have this mapped out, okay, but this isn't really planning. This is just setting your destination. So if we go to this screen, we have our flight plan, okay? This is EVE Gate Check. I have done a video on this tool before, so if you want to go check out that video, I will post it in the description. But this tool is pretty awesome. So you can type in where you're traveling from and where you're traveling to, and you can hit shortest, secure, unsecure, and hit check. Okay, this is cool. It shows you every jump, how many kills were in each system. You can even click on the Z kill board and check out the activity that's happened in the system on that day. So quite a bit of activity, actually. Shows you what got killed and all that stuff. Anyway, I put my route into this tool every time before I leave, because sometimes you'll come up with, like, let's say I'm going to go to, I know this will come up with something. Go to Jita. Okay. Look at that. Abazin is always a hot spot, so I really never go there. But for the shortest route, 11 jumps from Mar to Jita is, you know, very, very dangerous. So there's always a gate camp on that gate, at least one of the gates. And yeah, this just kind of lets you know what's going on. Obviously, there's been 33 kills in Jita itself. Not on the gate, so probably on the station. But anyway, this is just a nice little tool that helps you map out your trip and figure out if it's going to be safe or not. So let's go ahead and go back to Darren. So it's safe, so we're good to go. All right. All right, tip number 2. So as you can see, we have this little chat box here. So this chat box is super helpful. We always want to keep local open. Right now there's 5 other people, 6 including me, in this system. So we know there's 6 other people in this system. That kind of gives you a hint and an idea of what's going on, right? So we just jumped into Darren here, and there is 1 other person in the system. So when you're going to be exploring or doing something in a system that has lower security space, it's always a good idea to go ahead and check out, double click, and see what they are and what they're all about. Okay, so this guy isn't giving me too much of a bad vibe. He's pretty neutral. Sometimes I will type that name into Z kill board and see what he's been doing, what his activity has been, if he's more of a, you know, a cuddly, a snuggly, or a dangerous person, if you know what I mean. And yeah. So are we talking about a Care Bear or a pirate? So anyway, using local is a huge boon. You don't want to not use that, okay? Local works in high sec, low sec, and null sec. It does not work in wormhole space. It's a different story, and that's a topic for another video. But yeah, so most of the space that you'll probably be going to is local's going to work. It's going to let you know who's in system and all that jazz. So right now we're going to go ahead and warp off to a random planet. And since I can cloak, I'm going to stay cloaked up. So next tip, we have the D-scan. So the D-scan is a huge safety thing you want to be using. So with this D-scan, you can basically figure out what's in space around you. So it looks like this guy is in an epithal, which is hilarious. So we know for sure he is more cuddly. So not a dangerous person. He is a Care Bear, at least right now. Who knows? Maybe he has a ship in station that he could pull out and blow us up with. But anyway, right now he's out in space in a transport ship that's used to transport PI materials. So if I was a pirate, this would actually be something that I would be excited about. But since I'm not, I don't care. I'm actually happy that he's in that, so I don't have to worry about him. I'd have to use combat probes to find him. But anyway, this will let you know what's out in space, okay? So if you see something like, say, I don't know, a rattlesnake or something like that, or, I don't know, an Astero could kill me. So I don't want that out here, okay? Just kind of helps keeps your awareness. And you want to be constantly scanning this over and over again. See, we just had someone jump into space, and I know this because I have local open, and her picture popped up, okay? That person's probably not as friendly. She's got a negative security status. Domain research mining industries. Okay. So we're going to keep scanning. Descan. We don't know where she's at. This system's big. I can't encompass the whole system with this descan, but maybe she'll pop up if I just keep scanning. Okay. What's the beauty of this is when you have your probe scanner up, you can scan with your probes and have descan open at the same time. Okay. So that's quite nice that you can have both of them open. Anyway, so yeah. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. So we got the overview. Okay. The overview is something that a lot of people don't mess with at first because it's a little intimidating. But it's really helpful if you go ahead and create your own tabs. I haven't done a lot of my own little customizing, but there's some people that will even change the colors of the tabs, which is kind of cool. So anyway, in this general tab, I have basically just some general stuff. Ships pop up, warp to locations pop up, stations, gates, all that stuff. Okay, targets. This is my target tab. Only ships will pop up in this. Well, and then possibly like cans that you could loot would pop up in this as well. So you can just switch back and forth, which kind of helps clean up the overview. Okay, this is the mining tab. It's going to show ships as well, just in case you have someone pop in when you're mining. But it's going to show you all your asteroid belts, 2 locations, which is basically a nice little get out of jail free card. Just click on that, warp to whatever. That's a moon. And then you have the all tab, which is just a complete mess. It's so much to scroll through. Okay, but like I said, people customize this. You can add tabs. You can make the tabs different colors, the names of the tabs different colors and stuff like that. You can have an additional overview, I think, as well, which is cool. So you could have 2 of them open with this new Photon UI that they updated here in the last year or year and a half. Yeah, it's pretty useful tool. You want to know the ins and outs of your overview and how to use them and set it up correctly to your playstyle / comfortability. Super helpful. Okay, so next tip, we have safe spots. Okay, so for people that don't know this, if you hit Control B, you can open up a location window, and this will let you basically save a safe spot wherever you want as soon as you click submit or press enter. Okay, and you can save it in multiple folders and all that stuff. So we're just going to do gate check. What's good about this is, especially if you're a wormholer, you're going to want to use this a lot if you end up getting into wormholes, or you'll get lost. So, but for the sake of this video, we're just going to go ahead and warp to, I don't know, we're going to go to this one. We're going to warp 100 kilometers off. So I'm going to make a safe spot to scan the Panan gate. And so I'm going to watch this as the AU ticks down, and I'm going to hit right under 14, hit enter or submit. And so that way I created a safe spot over there. Okay, so I can warp back to this safe spot. And this safe spot is only for me. No one else knows this. I mean, if you're sitting on that safe spot uncloaked, someone could scan you down potentially and find it, sure, but you'll just make another one down the road. But yeah, this is a safe spot. And the beauty of this safe spot is it not only is safe, but it's also a reconnaissance spot. You can spy on this gate, and I'm sitting off this gate looking at it at 0.9 AU, and I can scan it and no one's here. I mean, we know no one's here because there's no one local, but say there was a couple people in local. If someone was sitting on that gate and I press scan and my scanner is within range of this, they would pop up on this as long as they're not cloaked, okay? What's also cool is you can change the angle. So if I change the angle to only 180 degrees here, let's go 180, okay? So wherever I'm looking, so if I look at this gate, which I'm already looking at it, my scanner is going to be pointed towards the gate. And so if I hit scan, I will only see stuff that's at that gate. I won't see stuff that's behind me. So what's nice is, say there was something else behind me, like some celestial object, and someone was doing something right here, like a site or something like that. What's cool about this is if I had it 360 degrees, I wouldn't know if that person was on the gate or at the site. But now that I have it at 180, I know for a fact they're not at the gate and they are at the site. And so therefore, I know it's safe to warp to that gate. So definitely something to use. You want to use safe spots. You want to use your overview, your safe spots, your D-scan, and your local all together as a tool, because if you use them all correctly, you're going to decrease the amount of times that you get hung up in a sticky situation dramatically. All right, so next tip is something to keep in mind is, so when you're coming out of a station, especially when you're in a Mar or Jita, there's a lot of ships outside of the station just ready, sitting, waiting to pop every pinata that comes out of that station. So what you want to do is create a safe spot that is directly out of the station exit, right? So just directly below it or directly straight. So for me, that is my gate check Amy. And so if I hit that, I'm able to warp very quickly, instantly out of the gate, out of the station. Okay? And by doing that, it gives me time to get away from that station. As you can see, I don't know if you saw it, but there was a couple ships that were docking or coming out of that station as I was leaving. So it's definitely nice to have a spot like that that is literally just directly straight out of the station exit. I was delayed a little bit talking about it and explaining it, so that's why it took me a second. So remember, as soon as you undock to set this up, you just do it in a fast frigate. Equip a micro warp drive, that's it. Just undock, hit the micro warp drive as soon as you undock, burn to about 300 kilometers or so, at least 100, but preferably more than 100. And then once you get to that marker, you hit Command B, save, name it whatever you want, and then it'll be saved forever. So then the next time when you undock, you'll just go over here in your locations tab and warp to it, and it'll warp you instantly down to that safe spot. Okay, another thing you can do for a little safety thing is you want to make sure that if you're warping to a station that has a lot of activity, like say Jita or Amar, you want to have a safe spot. We call it an Insta Dock. So what an Insta Dock is it warps you directly into a spot where you're inside this ring, okay? Now, sometimes you warp there automatically, and sometimes you don't. And so this time we did, actually. So I'm going to be able to do a dock instantly. But sometimes you're outside of this ring, and you can't see the ring that goes, it's an invisible, like, bubble, right? That kind of encompasses the whole station in a big sphere. But anyway, if you're outside that ring, you have to burn into that ring before you can dock, okay? These little rings, these little dots is that ring. So what you can do is you want to get as close to the station as you can. And you basically, since we're already there, we're just going to save. We're going to go Insta Dock. And it'll save that. And so when you jump into system, instead of finding your station here and hitting dock, you'll just go here and hit warp to location, and it'll bring you into that circle so that you can dock instantly. You don't have to burn into the circle. Now, something to keep in mind when you warp into that location, you will have to go up here and then press dock. It will not dock you from here. So keep that in mind. Couple last few tips. So when you're in nullsec, don't ever warp directly to the gate, because in nullsec, warp bubbles are allowed, and they're nasty. If you get caught in one and you're not lucky, you're gonna go. You're gonna be popped like a pinata. Okay. So when you're null, warp to celestial objects. Okay, we have asteroid belts, planets. Don't do stargates, but yeah, planets, right? And create safe spots. So what you kind of want to do is you want to create a bunch of safe spots in the areas where so you can scan down the gate with your D-scanner. Okay, so kind of like we did over here, we have this little safe spot that we can warp to see if there was anybody there. Now, you'd want to do that for each gate in null, kind of like you do it in lowsec, but it's even more important in null just due to the fact that we have warp bubbles. Okay. Also, something to keep in mind is you might want to use a scout. Okay. Now you can use a scout. You can have a friend scout for you, or you can have an alt even if your computer can handle it, and you can run two clients at the same time. Granted, they have to be Omega. Okay. Maybe you have another computer. You know, you can get lucky and you have a laptop. You can throw Eve on or something. Anyway. You can use a scout, and basically that scout would go in and enter the system before the main character, your main ship, enters, and just to kind of check it out. Check out who's on gate, who's on local, how safe it is, what's going on. And that is a good way to prevent big loss. So if you lose a scout and a shuttle, who cares, right? But if you lose your big ship that's hauling, you know, whatever, 500 million to a billion ISK worth of stuff, then that would be a big loss. So using a scout helps. Like I said, you can have a friend do that, or you can have another client open and just kind of have that person a jump ahead of you every single time, which isn't hard to do considering shuttles, you know, travel a lot quicker than a transport ship typically. So I'm going to show you guys this Insta Dock real quick. So I hit warp to this coordinate, which is my saved spot at the station. Okay, but I still have to click on the station and hit dock as soon as it comes available, and therefore I'm able to dock and I don't have to really move. And it's actually pushing me away from the station, which is kind of funny because I'm so close. But I don't have to burn into the station, so it mitigates any potential extra time that a ganker or someone sitting at the station outside of it mitigates the possibility of getting blown up. All right, for this next tip, so when you're flying around a squishy transport ship like this, if you can fit an improved cloaking device 2 and a micro warp drive, you can essentially use the micro warp drive cloak trick. So I'm going to go to Rami. Okay, you come in cloaked, you can kind of stay cloaked. Watch this. So if you align and you click your micro warp drive, you click your cloak, click the micro warp drive off, and then right as the micro warp drive finishes, you click the cloak off and click jump. You will start moving and jumping before you completely uncloak, therefore making it very difficult for someone to, or impossible for someone to actually lock you and scram you. Now that usually works in high sec and low sec, unless they have something like a bubble, then that will, in null sec, if you run into bubbles, you'll struggle and you might not, that might not work. Okay. What sucks is you get to a gate, if there's someone else on the gate, then waiting for you when you get there, then you're obviously wide open, ready to be shot, uncloaked. So just, it's nice when you're leaving a gate, when it takes you so long to warp out and get out of there. It helps kind of mitigate some of the potential loss that you will experience while transporting stuff in a transport ship like this. So again, real quick, just to run through. So if you hit align, micro warp drive, cloak, turn the micro warp drive off, and as soon as that little line comes around the circle and finishes, you click the cloak off and click jump. And I spam the button. And it didn't work as well this time, but it did work. Sometimes, depending on your align time and your warp speed, you see, I'm doing this with a 6-second align time, so it can be done. The lower align time, the better, because the faster you're going to align, get ready to warp. So anyway, those are the tips I have for flying safe in EVE Online. If you guys enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate a like, a subscribe. If you have any comments about the video, I'd love to hear them in the comment section. Let me know what you guys use to stay safe in EVE Online. Is there something that you do that I didn't even mention? I'd love to hear it, because I'm always willing to learn new tips and tricks of this game. So yeah, that'll do it for this video, and until next time, fly safe.